One of my favorite recreations of art ever in film comes from Robert Eggers' The Lighthouse, and I can't quite get over how perfect this usage actually was. With this image, Eggers brought to life the works of a somewhat forgotten queer German artist whose life was defined by both repression and tragedy. Sascha Schneider was born in Russia in 1870, but he would move to Germany at a young age and become consumed by the arts. After working with Karl May, Schneider would eventually become a professor before being forced to leave Germany. This is because his roommate at the time, who was also an artist, threatened to expose him as a gay man, which at the time in Germany was a criminal offense. Paragraph 175 of the German Criminal Code existed from 1871 to 1994. Criminal liability for homosexuality would exist in West Germany until 1969. 140,000 men in Germany would be convicted under this law, with the worst of it coming in 1935. Because of this, Sascha fled to Italy before returning during World War I. In 1918, he'd end up founding the Kraft Kunst Institute, which combined a gym with an art studio. This perfectly summarizes what his art was about. He was heavily focused on classical interpretations of the male form. In his work, you saw not only his own repression, but really the sexual repression of an entire nation for decades. And also a nation that was heavily politically and economically repressed after World War I by their own doing. The year he got that job as a professor in 1904, he created what would be his masterpiece, Hypnosis. And with this painting, Sascha depicts an older, larger man with long, dark hair transfixing a younger, smaller man with light coming from his eyes. His left hand he has a firm grip, with his right hand his fist is clenched. You are unsure of his intentions. But the young man seemingly cannot look away from this gaze. A lot of people feel this was a perfect depiction of the queer experience in Germany at the time. It was how you were born, something you were unable to get away from, something you were drawn to. At the same time, there is obvious danger here. There is a threat of violence. That desire is linked directly to the threat of persecution. To lean back, there is reluctance and uncertainty here as well. The ultimate depiction in art of submission and dominance, and we see a lot of these same exact themes analyzed in The Lighthouse. There's a push and pull with the power dynamics here, but Defoe is older, wiser, he is in command. Above all, The Lighthouse is a psychosexual experience. These two men have a lot of tension, they fight, they have some very intimate moments, they seem to grapple with that at all times. We really go through the entire range of human emotions with these two men. Same dynamics of dominance and submission really are on display for the entirety of the runtime. Outside of the perfect thematic marriage here with isolation, repression, spirituality, etc., this is beautiful for another reason. I mentioned, especially in Germany, a lot of Schneider's work was really forgotten. Really, it's thanks to one German art collector that we still know about Schneider at all. Hans-Gert Roeder really loved Schneider's work, and he set about trying to collect as much of it as he could. And he'd end up lending the entire collection to the Leslie Lohman Museum of Gay and Lesbian Art in New York City. It's been around since 1987, and actually in 2013, Schneider's collection traveled to a museum in Berlin. Too long after, Eggers would end up putting this into his film, and I'm glad he did. It's a wonderful homage to an incredibly brave artist.